So good evening, I am Renz Marah the Espiritu and I'm going to report the Iliad and its elements. So, the Iliad is an epic poem written by Homer, a Greek poet, and was written around 762 BC. It depicts the most crucial events of the Trojan War and was told from a third-person, omniscient point of view. It was set on the 9th year of the 10-year-long war at the city of Troy. But what caused the famously known war? It was all started over a dispute between three jealous goddesses named Hera, the queen of the Olympian gods, and Zeus' wife, Athena, the goddess of love and beauty, Ares, the goddess of discord, threw a golden apple at the wedding banquet of King Peleus and sea nymph Thetis. For the pairess, after narrowing down the goddesses into the aforementioned names, Zeus advised them to seek out Paris, a Trojan priest at Mount Ida, as he was an excellent judge of beauty. The three goddesses bribed Paris with the following: Hera to make him the lord of Asia and Europe, Athena to lead the Trojan into victory against Greece, and Aphrodite to have the fairest woman all for himself. Naturally, Paris chose Aphrodite's bribe, leading him towards his fated path of being Troy's ruin. He took it upon himself to steal away Helen, the fairest woman of all, despite knowing that she was married to King Menelaus, the ruler of Sparta. Upon being knowledgeable of what happened, King Menelaus, with the confederation of Greek cities known as the Achaeans, set sail toward the city of Troy.
Good day. My name is Angela Christine Pingol, and I am a third-year AB Psychology student, and for today, I will be discussing the characters and the plot of the Iliad. So in this slide, we have a list of the characters. At first, we have Hera, the queen of the Olympians and Zeus's wife. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and war. Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty. Ares is the goddess of discord. King Peleus and the sea nymph Thetis are Achilles' parents. Zeus, on the other hand, is the ruler of the Olympians and the god of the sky, lightning, and thunder. Paris, on the other hand, is a Trojan prince who, according to Zeus, is a great judge of beauty. Helen is the fairest woman in all the land. She also happens to be married to the king of Sparta, King Menelaus. The Achaeans is a confederation of Greek cities. Chryseis, on the other hand, is the daughter of Apollo's priest Chryses. She also happens to be the spoil of war of King Agamemnon. King Agamemnon is the leader of the Achaeans. Apollo is the god of the sun. Calchas is a prophet of the Greeks. Briseis is Achilles' spoil of war. Achilles is Greek's best warrior. Despite his overwhelming strength, though, he has one weakness, and it is his heel. This is why we have a famously known idiom called Achilles' heel. This refers to one's weakness. So yeah. Ares, on the other hand, is the god of war. Artemis, the goddess of hunting and wild nature. The Trojans, on the other hand, is the citizens of the city of Troy. Poseidon is the god of the sea and earthquakes. Pandarus is a Trojan soldier. Diomedes and Ajax are Greek soldiers that have been distinguished in the Trojan War. Hector is the tamer of horses and Paris' brother. Nestor is the oldest and the wisest of the Achaean captains. Odysseus is the shrewdest of the Achaeans. Patroclus, on the other hand, is Achilles' dearest companion. He is his best friend. Hephaestus is the god of the blacksmiths and fire. Iris is the messenger of the gods and the goddess of the rainbow. King Priam is Paris and Hector's father. Lastly, we have Hermes. He is the shepherd of the gods. So on to the next slide, we have the plot of the Iliad. I have already shortened it down to the main events that took place because it would take a while to read the plot of the Iliad, or the summary of the plot. Now, the first statement is that the Achaeans have raided a nearby town, bringing along their spoils of war. King Agamemnon angers Achilles, which resulted into Achilles' refusal to fight for the Achaeans. He was angered because King Agamemnon stole Briseis and kept him to himself, when Briseis happens to be Achilles' spoil of war. Now, this what happens to be the main conflict of the Iliad. Achilles' refusal to fight for the Achaeans led to the Achaeans suffering greatly in the hands of the Trojan people, or the Trojan soldiers. This is because Achilles is the best warrior, or the best hope of the Greeks. Now, up in the heavens, the Greek gods had took sides, and they liked to mingle and interfere with the war, the Trojan War. We have Aphrodite, Ares, Apollo, and Artemis siding with the Trojans, while Hera, Athena, and Poseidon sided with the Greeks. Zeus liked the Trojans best, and he's the Scene Thetis, who also happens to be Achilles' mother, had a special request to turn the tide of war in favor of the Trojans, which is why Zeus took on that favor. Now, he sent a lying dream to King Agamemnon to go into war, but then again, that resulted into a bloody battlefield, and that resulted into the Greeks, or the Achaeans, losing hope. They were stricken with grief and despair, and so Nestor, the oldest and wisest of the Achaeans, told Agamemnon, or King Agamemnon, I apologize, to find ways to appease Achilles. So that brings us to the fourth statement, with Odysseus and Patroclus bringing gifts to Achilles as King Agamemnon's way of winning Achilles back. Still, he refused. Now, Patroclus was terrified of the fate of the Achaeans, which is why he took matter into his own hands and asked for Achilles' permission if he could borrow his armor, so he could, fool the Trojans away and, drive them into a corner. But still, Hector ended up killing Patroclus. This happening angered Achilles so much, which is why he returned to the battlefield, donned in Hephaestus made armor, and he killed many Trojan soldiers, including Hector. Now, what Achilles did after Hector died was he rammed it up in his chariot and dragged his corpse around the city, the walls of the city. And this was very disrespectful, even for the gods, which is why Zeus sent Iris, the messenger of the gods, to King Priam in order for him to be able to ransom his son's body. So this brings us to the second to the last statement, which is King Priam's plea for his son's body. He was successful into doing so because he ended up reminding Achilles of his own aging father. With that, we end at Hector's funeral.
Hi guys, my name is Pauline Gonzales, and today I'm going to discuss with you the conflict of the Iliad story. The conflict of the Iliad story is when Achilles refused to fight because Agamemnon demands for his war prize, which is the maiden named Briseis. Achilles feels slighted in this respect, and because of Achilles' absence of strength, Achaeans lost the best warriors and suffer under the hands of Trojans. Next is the theme. It is about the love between Paris and Helen, the friendship of Achilles and Patroclus, the fate of Achilles and Hector to die in a battle, and Paris to be thrice ruined. The honor, military values, and glory of God is where Hector and Achilles accept their fate and actively choose the path to avenge their respective parties. The mortality or the life loss is when Achilles sacrifices his own life with courage. The Iliad story is about the matter of free will. Human beings may choose to be heroic.
The tone of the story. It is deemed ironic because it is both glorifying and pitying. The tone of the story is the attitude of the writer towards the story. The mood. It exudes a suspenseful feeling for its readers. We can feel suspense because as we read the story, we can feel different feelings. It's like up and down because we can feel love, glorify, pity, and many more different feelings. The mood of the story is the feeling that we get as we read the story. So the story Iliad has its impact in our modern society because because the Iliad is a very great story. Just like in the movies, as we know, there are many movies that just like the story Iliad, just like Troy, it is a story of just like the movie Troy, it is based on the story Iliad, and just like the theme that love, just like the theme love, because it is still prominent on our literature. The themes of the story Iliad has its impact in our modern day, in literature, in movies, and many more. And I believe that in the future it will also affect other movies and it's still and it will still affect our in the and it still influence our literature and movies in the future. That's all. Thank you.
Like the Iliad, the Odyssey attributes the Greek epic poet Homer in Homer's mature years, possibly around 725 BCE. It was clearly composed in oral tradition accompanied by simple stringed instrument, intended to be sung then read. The poem highlights the Greek hero named Odysseus and how he survived with his intelligence along his journey home to Ithaca following the Trojan War. 10 years after the fall of Troy, Odysseus' son Telemachus and his wife Penelope are still in denial that Odysseus is not coming back anymore. The rising action of the poem concerns Odysseus, who after being freed from Calypso's island by Athena, sets out for home, but it's shipwrecked by Poseidon, still angry that Odysseus blinded his son, the Cyclops. Odysseus washes up in Phaeacia, where he tells his host the story of his long and arduous journey after leaving Troy. The climax of the poem happens after Odysseus has left Phaeacia and at last returns to Ithaca, where his story merges with Telemachus, and father and son are reunited to face one final obstacle in the poem's fall. Falling action is when Odysseus reunited with his wife and father, and the poem concludes with Athena erasing the suitor's parents' memory of the battle, restoring peace to Ithaca.
Now I am going to talk about the characters of the story The Odyssey. So generally, Odyssey has so many characters, but this time we are just focusing on the main characters mentioned in the summarized versions. So let's start. So first we have Odysseus. So Odysseus is the main protagonist. He is a Greek hero from Ithaca. He is the husband of Queen Penelope and the father of Telemachus. Next one, we have Telemachus. Telemachus is Odysseus' son. He is at the age of 20, and he hasn't seen his father since he left. Penelope is the wife of Odysseus and the mother of Telemachus. She remained faithful to Odysseus despite what is happening and despite that she has many suitors. So Telemachus and Penelope is waiting for Odysseus to come back home for a very long time. Next character is Athena. So Athena is the goddess of wisdom. She is the daughter of Zeus. She helps Odysseus and Telemachus through divine intervention. Next we have Poseidon. Poseidon is the god of the sea, Odysseus' divine antagonist. He hates Odysseus for blinding his son. Next we have Zeus. Zeus is the king of gods and men. He gives help to Odysseus and permits Athena to do things. Next one is Antinous. Antinous is one of Penelope's suitors. He planned to kill Telemachus. Next one is Calypso. Calypso is the beautiful name of Ogygia. She held Odysseus prisoner after falling in love with him. Hermes. Hermes is the messenger of God. He persuades Calypso to let Odysseus go. Next one is Cyclops Polyphemus. Polyphemus is one of the one-eyed giants and the son of Poseidon. He is the one blinded by Odysseus, leading to Poseidon to be mad at Odysseus. Next one is Circe. Circe is the goddess who transforms Odysseus' troop into swine, but on the latter part of the story, ended up with helping Odysseus and his troop. Next one is Laertes. Laertes is Odysseus' aging father who resides in a farm in Ithaca. And the last one is Nestor, king of Pylos, Trojan War's warrior. He was visited by Telemachus and asked about Odysseus. So they are the major characters of the Odyssey. So just like what I have said earlier, the Odyssey has so many characters, but we just focus on the main ones.
Hi, I am Saki, and I'm going to tackle about the settings in the story of the Odyssey. But first, let me give you a little background of what is settings. The place or type of surrounding where setting is positioned or where an event takes place. Just to make it simple, it is where the story happened. The Odyssey happened during the Bronze Age, approximately 12th century before the Common Era. From Troy to Mediterranean Sea, back to Ithaca, Greece, home of the Odysseus, and some of the other settings mentioned in the book are Mount Olympus, abode of gods and goddesses, Ogygia, Calypso's island, Pylos, and land where Nessus lives in, Syria, lands of Paisian, Sparta, islands of Lotus Eaters, and islands of Cyclops, and the land of the dead, the Circe's island, and the islands of Sirens, and the Scylla and Charybdis, and the last one is the islands of Thrinacia.
Good day, ma'am. I am Joie and Palaganas, and I will be discussing about the Odyssey's themes as well as the mood and the tone. So let's have the themes. First is perseverance. Odysseus' perseverance has seen in this epic poem. He conquers all those challenges and his determination to a long journey to come back to his family and to his hometown. Next is vengeance. Odysseus' revenge is directed toward to the suitors that keep trying to ask for Penelope's hand and trying to kill her son, and as well as the disloyal servants of Odysseus. They have lack of respect, lack of loyalty to his property and to his family. The third theme is homecoming. Odysseus back home after 20 long years away. He arrived at Ithaca and finally he met his son and wife, so they back in each other's arms again. The fourth theme is fate. So in this epic poem shows the will of the gods and goddesses to Odysseus and of course to the other part of the story. The last theme is trickery and deception. This theme appears multiple times to the story. When Odysseus encountered the Cyclops, when Athena disguises herself, when Odysseus come back on Ithaca. So that's are the themes of the Odyssey. Let's have the mood and the tone. So it says that the tone is the writer's attitude or feelings to the story. So in the Odyssey, the tone are serious and epic, while the mood, it says that mood is the readers or the audience attitude or feelings to the story. So the mood are sorrowful in the first part of the story, and later on it turned to an excitement and joyful feeling. So that concludes my report, and thank you.